Jayda InStitches Show, and welcome to September. It is time for the 9th installment in our 2024 Granny's Magical Cupboard Calendar Blanket, and this month we're going to have some fun with the Bobble stitch. Bobbles come in many different shapes and sizes and configurations, but we're going to keep it simple this month, and we're going to go sort of middle of the road with our bobbles. Bobbles are a great way to add texture to a project. Granny squares are no exception, but we don't want to overload the square with too many bobbles because they're real yarn eaters and they can require a little bit of focus when you're putting that many loops on the hook. So every other row, our even rows, are going to be bobble stitch rows, and they're going to be separated by 3 double crochet each. So you're not cramming too many bobbles together. There's just, a bobble, 3 double crochet, a bobble, 3 double crochet, and that's just the even rows. The odd rows are just straight double crochet. I would say that this square most closely resembles the solid double crochet granny square. We'll link to that in the description box down below. It's not part of this year's calendar blanket series, but it can be used alongside any of these squares. So if you wanted to add in an extra set of squares, our solid double crochet granny square also fits, same stitch counts and everything. And this one's based on that one. It's just that every 4th stitch or so we're using a bobble stitch as opposed to just another double crochet. And of course, I'll explain all that to you when we get into it. I've got this one in 2 colors. It's my gold and denim, those 2 colors, 3 rows each for the first one. And the one I'm going to make today, obviously I'm going back to the other 3 colors I'm using: sunny yellow, sky blue, bright white, and each of those colors gets used twice. So 2 rows per color in that one. So each color gets a solid row of double crochet and a bobble stitch row. I really like that. Fun way to add some texture, great way to practice your bobble stitch, and it's a lovely, cozy looking square to take us into the fall. So let's grab our hooks, grab our yarn, we'll head on over to the craft table, and we will stitch up a basic bobble granny square together. In order to make our bobbly granny square, we are going to need approximately 65 yards of yarn for a 6-row granny. So this is about 25 yards more than the average granny that we've been using so far in this project, because bobbles are real yarn eaters, so keep that in mind. 65 yards roughly in total. I'm using a size 4 medium weight acrylic yarn, as I have been for the rest of this project. I've got 3 colors on the hook today. This is a 2-color version, so assume a little bit more for your last 3 rows than, say, for your first 3 rows if you're going to split it up like this. But I would recommend having at least 15 to 20 yards per color if you're using 3, around 20 to 20, or I should say 30 to 35 yards per color if you're going to use 2. And that's just to allow for a difference in tension. Some stitch markers are great to keep track of your corners, pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and the same hook we've been using all along. I'm using a 5.5 millimeter, also known as an I or a 9. And once you've got all that together, we can get started. I'm going to begin today's square with my blue, and this square begins pretty much exactly the same way as all the other squares in this project. We chain 5, and we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first chain to make a ring, and into this ring we are going to work all of the stitches for row 1. Chain 3, the chain 3 at the beginning of every row in this particular pattern counts as a double crochet. We're going to work 2 more double crochets into that chained ring, and you've got what looks like your typical granny shell. Chain 2 for a corner, and you're going to work 3 double crochet, chain 2 twice more. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, all into that little ring. You'll have 4 shells, or more importantly, 12 double crochets and 4 chain 2 corners at the end of row 1. At the end of row 1, you'll have the chain 3 that began the row, plus 2 more double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, Chain 2, that's your last corner. You're going to find the top of that chain 3 that began the row. Remember, the chain 3 at the beginning of a row counts as a double crochet. And that is row 1 complete. And I like to take a moment to pull out those 4 corners if they're not already nice and visible, just so I can clearly see the 4 corners and that little granny square shape starting up. In row 2 is where we start to have fun with our bobbles. So every row begins exactly where we closed off the row before. So when you slip stitch to join right here, you're just going to start chaining right out of that spot. Every stitch, or I should say every row kind of begins right in the same place. Now, if you're changing colors, you would just fasten off here and rejoin your yarn in the exact same place with a slip stitch. I'll show you that in one more row. I'm going to do 2 rows of each color, but you all start right in the same place. So you join with a slip stitch to the top of that chain 3, and whether you're changing color or not, you chain 3 right out of that spot, and that chain 3 counts as a double crochet. All right, now we're going to make a bobble. Bobbles come in a lot of different shapes and sizes and configurations, but for today's purposes, we are going to do a bobble with 5 partial double crochets in it. So it looks like this. Yarn over, pick up a loop in that next stitch, yarn over and pull back through 2. Yarn over, pick up a loop in that same stitch, yarn over, pull back through 2. So you've got your chain 3 and you've got 2 half-worked double crochets now underneath your hook. And we're going to do that a couple more times. Yarn over, pick up a loop, work the first half of a double crochet, yarn over, pick up a loop, work the first half of a double crochet, and I know it's getting tight, but we're going to do it one more time. Yarn over, pick up a loop, and work the first half of a double crochet. You will have 6 loops on your hook. Take a moment to count them up. 6 loops. So you're working the first half of 5 double crochets into that same stitch. That gives you 6 loops on your hook because that's your working loop, and then you've got 1 for each of those 5 partially worked double crochet stitches. We yarn over and pull back through absolutely everything all at the same time. Now, it's going to be a lot easier if you just take the 2 extreme sides of that bobble and just push them together with your thumbs. And that way you can sort of see it a little bit. You're also going to find it easier if you take the whole thing with your thumb and just kind of push it aside, because we want to continue to double crochet now. So you've done all of that work into that same stitch. If you pull up on it, you can see it. And that also frees you up to see the next stitch. So pull everything aside before you keep going. Double crochet as normal into the next stitch. So the first row so far is chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, a bobble stitch into the next stitch, and then a regular double crochet into the stitch after that. Corners are always the same throughout this entire project, this particular square, I should say. We're going to work 2 double crochet into the corner, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet into the corner. And the reason we're doing 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the corner is because the base of this particular granny square is the solid double crochet granny square. So we have a link to our original the solid double crochet granny square in the description box down below. That one will also fit in this particular project if you want to add in some solid double crochets. But that is the base for this bobble square. We are adding bobbles in lieu of simple single double crochets, or I should say in lieu of a double crochet, we're putting in a bobble stitch every so often. So here we go. This is row 2. For the rest of row 2, it's going to look like your corner is 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, all worked into the corner space. That's the same for every row, regardless of whether or not it's a bobble stitch row or not. Double crochet into the next stitch, nice and normal. Into the next stitch, which is the middle of those 3 from the previous row, you're going to work a bobble. So you yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over, and work the first half of a double crochet 5 times in total. So that's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Make sure that you've got 6 loops on your hook, and that's 5 partially worked double crochets alongside your working loop over here. Yarn over, pull back through all 6 of those stitches, and then I highly recommend you just pinch the 2 edges together, and that just helps you kind of continue to move. Pull them to the side. That frees up the visibility on that next stitch. You don't want to miss it, and if you're confused, just pull up on it. You'll see where all those stitches went, and you'll see the next stitch that you need to work into. We're not skipping any stitches here. Double crochet into that next stitch, and then that brings you up to the corner. 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. And a couple other little notes about making baubles. They will flatten if you want them to, so if you press down on them, they can completely flatten out, and they might be a little more difficult to see, which is why I recommend sort of pausing and pinching them together. That way you can kind of see where they are, and when you finish the row, I like to kind of squeeze them together, and that way they really stand up. Another little thing you might want to do is start to engage your stitch markers in your corners. So the corner spaces are somewhat easy to see in this particular pattern because it's just a solid double crochet pattern with little bobbles thrown in every so often. But it does help to kind of just keep a visual track of how many stitches you have in each row or along each side and where those corner spaces are. Just to recap, at the end of row 1, you'll have 3 stitches per side. Pretty obvious. We had 12 stitches and 4 chain 2 corners at the end of row 1. But for row 2, you technically have 7 stitches per side. And if you look at it like this, so you ignore your chain 2 corners, we only count up the stitches. A bobble stitch, as gigantic as it is, still only has 1 little stitch across the top. So it's best to count your stitches like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't count the chains in your chain 2 corners because those are consistent throughout. You're only looking at the stitches. So the bobble stitch counts as a single stitch. You'll have 7 stitches along each side, or you can look at it like this. Chain 2 space, 3 regular double crochets, a bobble stitch, and then 3 regular double crochets before you get to your next chain 2 space. That's what the end of row 2 is going to look like. For actually crocheting it, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the chain 2 space, double crochet in the next stitch, bobble stitch in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, corner. That's 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the corner, regular double crochet, bobble stitch, regular double crochet, and then you've got 1 more corner left to do. I'm going to let you work away at that. Remember, your bobble stitches are just 5 partially worked double crochets all worked into the same stitch. So it can get a little full on the hook, but just take your time. And if you've lost count of how many you may have done, just remember that when you're finished with the partially worked double crochets, you should have 6 loops on your hook before you yarn over and pull back through everything. I highly recommend pinching that little bobble together and pulling it out of the way so that you can see your next stitch. So you've got your corner and then a regular double crochet, a bobble, a regular double crochet. That brings you up to the corner. Corner spaces always get 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet throughout this square pattern. So it doesn't matter what row you're on, the corners all get treated the same way. And then it's double crochet, bobble, double crochet. Remember, when you finish with a bobble, you can press it to the front, pinch the 2 sides together, and you can also go around and pinch them as you work. That just helps make them stand out a little bit better, because bobbles can have a tendency to want to flatten or go through to the other side. So just push them to the side that you want them. In this case, we want them on the front. And give them a pinch if you need to. And remember, when you're counting, that a bobble counts as a single stitch, and that's the top of it right there. That is the top of a bobble stitch. It is a single stitch, so you count it as 1. You finish the row with 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and that brings us right back to that chain 3 that began the row. We're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of it. Each side will have 7 stitches across it. So 6 of them will just be regular double crochets and one of them will be a bobble. Put it down, grab those corners, pull it out, and give those little bobbles a pinch if you feel that you need to. That will definitely make them help sort of stand out a little bit, and that'll be much easier to see. I'm going to change colors now. If you're not changing colors, no worries. You just stay right where you are and you're going to chain 3 to begin the next row. But if you are changing colors, then you can do what I'm doing. Just fasten off. This goes for any row in this particular square pattern. Join the row with a slip stitch, fasten off. You can leave your tail out and weave it in later if you like, or work over top of it. I'm going to select my white now. We're going to join our yarn with a slip stitch or a double crochet if you like in the same place that you fastened off the previous color. So right in the top of that chain 3 that you joined the previous row in, you're going to join your new color. And if you didn't join with a double crochet, just chain 3, that'll count as a double crochet, or you can join with a double crochet, it's up to you. Now for the odd rows are just solid double crochet. You're just double crocheting in every single stitch all the way across into the corner space, and the corner space gets 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. So a quick reminder, the top of a bobble stitch, that's the top of it right there, is just 1 stitch. So you're not working a bunch of stitches into the top of your bobble, you're just double crocheting into it. You're treating it like a regular old stitch. And then you're double crocheting into the stitch next to it and every stitch up to the corner. There were 7 stitches across each side at the end of row 2. There were 11 stitches, or there will be 11 stitches across each side here in row 3. So when you get up to a corner space, 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet all into that corner space. And of course, these 2 double crochet, the one that happen after the chain 2 corner, are the first 2 stitches in your next side. So you've got 7 from the previous row, here's 2 in the corner, 2 in the other corner. That is how you get 11. You're just going to double crochet in each stitch all the way across. Nothing fancy. There are 3 stitches before the bobble, then the bobble stitch itself. That's it right there, you can see it. And then 3 stitches after the bobble. And as long as you end up with 11 stitches all the way across each side for row 3, you know you're on the right track. Into the corner space, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and just double crochet in every other stitch all the way around. Easy peasy for row 3. As you round the last corner, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the corner space. That leaves you with 2 more stitches, the 2 corner stitches from the previous row, to go. So make sure you don't miss them. Double crochet in each of those 2 remaining stitches. That brings you up to the chain 3 that began the row, or if you joined with a double crochet or you didn't change colors at all, it's still a chain 3. You're going to find the top of the chain 3 and join with a slip stitch. And that is row 3. So you've got 11 stitches across each side. That's 44 stitches in total. Of course, you still got your 12, or I should say your 4 chain 2 corner spaces. And that is what our odd rows look like. They are just straight double crochet. They kind of bring us back to basics. And then the even rows is where we add our bobble stitches in again. I am not changing colors. I'm going to do a second row in white. I'm going to do a new bobble stitch row using white, but if you are changing colors, just fasten off where you are, join your new yarn in the exact same place, the top of that chain 3 right there, and we'll all start row 4 together. Row 4. Row 4 is even. That means we're on a bobble stitch row. We're going to chain 3 to begin the row. Chain 3 counts as a double crochet, and Immediately into the next stitch, we are going to create a bobble. So this bobble stitch will sit pretty much directly above the bobble stitch from the row 2 previous. So the previous row, this one was all double crochet, but this stitch, this bobble stitch is actually directly below this stitch here, and that's where we're going to work our first bobble stitch of the row, right into the very next stitch. Remember, bobble stitch is yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over, pull back through 2 to create the first half of a double crochet. We do that 5 times in total. So we want 5 half worked double crochet stitches all into the same little stitch. You'll have 6 loops on your hook. Double check, make sure you do. Yarn over, pull back through everything. I like to kind of pinch them together. I'm just shoving the 2 front and back stitches together, and then I pull back on it so I can reveal that next stitch and I don't miss it. I'm going to double crochet into it and the next 2. So that'll be 3 double crochets. So I chain 3 to begin, bobble stitch into the next stitch immediately, and then double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches, and we're going to bobble stitch. Into the next stitch, we create a bobble. Half work, 5 double crochets all into the same place. There we go. Make sure you've got 6 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull back through everything. I like to just shove those 2 stitches together and then pull it out of the way. You'll have 1 stitch left in the row, double crochet into that. That brings you up to, or I should say in that side, brings you up to a corner, and of course the corners all get the same thing. 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. That's the corner. And I just want to point something out to you. So there are 3 double crochets in between the bobbles, and there are 3 double crochets in between this bobble and the new corner space. So in between your bobbles, you're going to have 3 double crochets, no matter what direction you're going. So with that in mind, these are the first 2 double crochets of this side, worked into the corner. That means we double crochet into the next stitch, and that is 3 double crochets in a row. That means that we want to create a bobble now in the next stitch. So between the corner space and the next bobble stitch will be 3 double crochets. There will be 3 double crochets in between bobbles as you work across the side, each side of this square. And you're going to have 3 bobbles per side in row 4. Make sure you've got those 6 loops on your hook. That's your bobble. I like to just push it forward, pinch the 2 ends together, pull the whole thing out of the way so that I don't miss the next stitches. Double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Nice plain double crochets. And now I'm going to create a bobble stitch. And that bobble will be directly on top of this bobble. So here's the bobble stitch from 2 rows previous. Here's the stitch that sat on top of that. That's the stitch I'm going to work the bobble into. So I'm going to half work, 5 double crochet, there we go. Just push it forward, pinch the 2 ends together, pull the whole thing out of the way. There's my next stitch. I work a double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And if you find your bobbles look like they're flattening out, just shove them forward, give them a little pinch, and they'll go back to looking like bobbles. I've got 1 more bobble to do. So this is the stitch. There's 2 stitches left to go before I get to my corner. So I want to put a bobble in the second last stitch. Okay, finish that off. Just push it forward, give it a pinch. That leaves me with this stitch here, so I'm going to double crochet into that. And I'm into a corner space. So that's 2 double crochet. that finishes off those 3 double crochets that I needed. So I'm just going to pinch up that bobble so you can see there's corner space, 3 double crochet, bobble, 3 double crochet, bobble, 3 double crochet, bobble, 3 double crochet, chain 2, that's the new corner space, and now I start along the next side. 2 double crochet into the corner space to begin, double crochet into the next stitch, and now I know that's 3 double crochet away from the corner, so it's time to put in a bobble. Bobble goes into the next stitch. So it's bobble, double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, bobble, double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. You do that all the way across. The last bobble you make will be the stitch before you've got 1 stitch left before the corner. So it'll be the second last stitch before the corner space, bobble, double crochet, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet into the corner, and when you pull back and look at it, you'll have 3 double crochet, bobble, 3 double crochet, bobble, 3 double crochet, bobble, 3 double crochet, space all the way along that side. The other way of looking at it is that you'll have 15 stitches, remembering that a bobble is just 1 stitch. I'm going to let you guys work away at that. You're going to have 3 bobbles per side with 3 double crochets in between each bobble. Your corners are always the same, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Oops, don't put too many stitches in the same stitch. Double crochet in each stitch. 15 stitches per side, that translates to 12 regular double crochets and 3 bobbles, and of course you're still going to have your 4 chain 2 spaces. I'll catch up with you back at the beginning. After you round the last corner on row number 4, that's 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, you've got 1 double crochet into the next stitch as you leave the corner, immediately into a new bobble. So this will be the last bobble of the entire row, and it will be the 3rd bobble for the side that you began on. And that leaves you with 2 stitches left to double crochet into, and that completes the row. It brings you back up to the chain 3 that began the row. The chain 3 counts as a double crochet. You want to find the top of it. There it is right there. And join with a slip stitch. I will be changing colors, but before you do that, I want you to sort of see how it can look without making sure all your bobbles are pushed to the front. So if you get to this point and you think, oh no, I've missed something, or there's something wrong with my bobbles. No, there's not. The bobble is a big thick thing, so just shove it forward with your finger like that, and then give it a little pinch. I like to sort of squeeze them together, and I'll do that to all of them all the way around. Give them a little squeeze, and that will make them all look the way they're supposed to. Grab those 4 corners, pull it out. You will have 15 stitches along each side. 12 of them are regular double crochet, and 3 of them are bobble stitches. So you've got 12 bobbles at the end of that row, or 15 stitches per side. You've still got your 4 chain 2 corners. That's row 4 complete. I'm going to change colors. Remember, when you're changing colors, you want to join with a slip stitch or a double crochet in the top of that same chain 3 that you joined in when you finished the row before. You want to always start in the same place. It just makes it easier to follow the pattern. And chain 3 to begin. Chain 3 counts as a double crochet. And this is an odd row, number 5. Row 5 is an odd row, so you are just double crocheting into every single stitch. Remember, top of a bobble stitch. It's just a regular old stitch. And every other stitch all the way along. So that's, if you look at it like this, you can see that these are all regular looking stitches. That's the top of a bobble, and it looks just like a regular stitch. You're going to double crochet in the top of every single stitch all the way up to the chain 2 space. Work 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the corner, and keep on going. Double crochet in every single stitch. Nice, plain, solid double crochet for all of our odd rows. At the end of row 5, you'll have 19 stitches per side, and they'll all be regular old double crochets. At the end of row 5, you're going to finish your last corner, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the corner space, and then double crochet into each of the remaining stitches all the way back to the chain 3 that began the row. Chain 3 counts as double crochet, so you join with a slip stitch in the top of it and do a quick count up. Make sure you have 19 double crochet stitches across each side. So no bobbles on the odd rows, just solid double crochet. Pinch some of those bobbles out to make them look nice and poofy if you like. But row 5, row 3, row 1, all the odd rows are just straight double crochet. So if you were going to make this square larger, just remember that your odd row is just always straight double crochet. Join at the top of the chain 3, and this is where we start row 6. For row 6, we're going to continue the pattern that was basically established in row 3. So we start right where we are, we chain 3, it counts as a double crochet, and immediately into the next stitch we create a bobble. This bobble will be sitting directly in alignment with the previous bobbles made. Make sure you've got 6 loops on your hook and yarn over, pull back through all of them. Pull that whole thing out of the way. You'll see the next stitch ready to go right next to it, right there. Double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And then bobble into the next stitch. So it's bobble, double crochet into each of the next 3, bobble, double crochet into each of the next 3, and you do that all the way up to the edge. So the last thing you do when you make your last bobble along the side, it'll be just before, it'll be 2 stitches away from the corner. So your last bobble on a side will always be in the second last stitch before you get to a corner. Then you'll double crochet in the next stitch, and then the corner is 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and how that works out is that you'll have 3 double crochets between your bobble and the chain 2 space. You'll have 3 double crochets in between each bobble. And at the end of row 6, each side will have 23 stitches running along it. So 19 in the previous row, 23 in the next row. And there's our little bobbles. There's 3 double crochet in between the bobbles. You can always pull the bobble out if you get lost or confused. 3 double crochet. The next one is right into this stitch. It's the second last stitch before the chain 2 corner. Once I'm finished with this bobble, I'll double crochet into the next stitch, and then into the corner I work 2 double crochet, then the new corner, chain 2, and then 2 double crochet starts me off for the next side. And that, so here's my next stitch, double crochet, will end up giving me 3 double crochets in between all my bobbles and my chain 2 corner spaces. I love it when a mathematical plan comes together, to paraphrase the A-team. So there's the bobble, there's the 3 double crochet, and there's the new chain 2 corner space, and that's how it'll work out all the way around. So it's just like row 3, it's just a little bit bigger. You'll have 5 bobbles now at the end, or the 5 bobbles per side at the end of this row. Remember, when you leave a corner, so it's chain 2, 2 double crochet, you double crochet into the very next stitch. That gives you your 3 double crochet between the space, 1, 2, 3. That means that the next stitch, the second stitch away from the chain 2 corner, gets a bobble, and then it's double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, bobble, double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, bobble, and so on all the way across. Every single final bobble will be in the second stitch away from the corner. Then you double crochet, 2 double crochet into the corner, chain 2, 2 double crochet into the corner, double crochet into the next stitch, and then a bobble is always going to be in the second stitch away from the previous corner space. And then it's 3 double crochet in between every bobble along the side. I'm going to let you work away at that. Remember, you'll have 23 stitches along each side. 5 of those stitches will be bobbles. And that's all you've got to do for row 6. You're going to round your last corner with 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the corner space, double crochet into the very next stitch, and then of course it's a bobble, double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches, bobble, and then double crochet into each of the remaining 2 stitches. That brings you up to the chain 3 that began the row. Count them up. You should have 23 stitches along each side, and 5 of them will be bobbles. You'll still have your chain 2 corners. I like to take a moment and pull them all out. And if you have to, go around and just poke your finger up underneath all of those little bobbles from whichever row you feel it needs it. There's a good one there. I can squeeze that up a little bit more. And that will help define your little bobbles going forward. They really do want to pop out if you ask them nicely. That's 23 stitches along each side. That's row 6 complete. If you were going to continue to make this bigger, your next row, row 7, odd row, it would just be straight double crochet in every single stitch all the way around. Corners are always the same. Chain 2 corners, get 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in them. And then the even rows have all got bobbles in them. And the bobbles will all sit sort of directly above the bobbles from the previous row. If you want to look at it from like the corner, it would be your 2 double crochet in the corner space, double crochet into the next stitch, and then a bobble immediately. 3 double crochets in between each bobble. Do that all the way across. 3 double crochet, bobble, 3 double crochet, bobble. And then the last bobble in the row will always be 2 stitches away from the existing corner, bobble, double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet into the corner space. And when you pull back and look at it, you'll always have a corner space, 3 double crochet, a bobble, 3 double crochet, a bobble, etc. And that's why you want to work your odd rows solid double crochet, so that gets you the extra stitches you need. And your even rows are the bobble rows, and that keeps the pattern going nice and neat. So you're repeating row 5 and row 6 until your square is as large as you want it to. When you're done, and I am, at the end of row 6, fasten off and weave in your tail. And look at the back. This is another neat thing about the bobble stitch. Look at those cute little indents that are created. So all the way along the back, you can sort of see where the little dent is. That's the underside of your bobble. So you've got the back of one of these squares looks really cute too, in my opinion. Weave in that tail, and you are all done for the September square in Granny's Magical Cupboard. And there we go. 2 basic bobble granny squares. You can make however many you want. A lot of you have been making several, some of you have just been making one. And I love seeing the photos. So if you've got photos of your new granny squares, feel free to share them with us at the Etsy shop. You can click on the Etsy link below. It'll take you to the shop. Just scroll down the page until you see message seller or contact seller. And you can add a photo by clicking on either the little landscape icon picture or the camera icon, depending on what software you're using. You can attach a photo, and we will be happy to share your squares with the rest of the community on our community tab page. And you'll find the link to our community page on the description box, in the description box down below. And the community tab is just another part of our YouTube channel, and we get to share all sorts of neat things there, ideas and pictures and just happy inspirational bits and pieces from our great community. And that's you guys. I really like this square. It has a lot of cozy potential, I feel. If you're looking for a nice, thick, warm square, this is it. This is one of those squares that will make a very warm blanket if you want to make a bunch of them. But like I said, it's a bit of a yarn eater, so we're probably using around 25 yards more per square for this one than we are for the other squares in the series. And it's a lot more than last month's square, the mesh square, which was very open and breezy and probably used less yarn than the other ones put together. But that is the fun of a granny square. There are just so many possibilities, and we hope you enjoyed making this one along with us this month, and we will see you soon here on the Jayda and Stitches show. Until then, stay safe, stay crafty, and have a great week. Bye guys!
Hi everybody, Mr. and Stitches here. Thank you for watching today. Here are some of our other videos you might be interested in. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.